Hey, I'm Shannon Firmal, your host on Asian Pulse Television. Welcome to the show. We're broadcasting from the traditional unceded territories of Kwantlen, Silvertooth, and Squamish Nation. July 1st is just around the corner, and July 1st is Canada's 153rd birthday. The birthday will be celebrated at every city in Metro Vancouver, so go out and enjoy. July is also a stout holiday for most businesses, and all the major government offices will be closed. Looks like summer is finally here. Also, if you're going out in the sun, make sure you apply sunscreen lotion with SPF 30 or more. Keep putting it on as many times as possible if you're in direct sunlight throughout the day. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada.
For astrology service, life horoscope, and fortune telling, marriage problem, love problem, divorce problem, money problem, personal or business, all types of puja and havan. Call Pandit Lakshminath Guruji 1604-849-4872, serving Alberta and BC.
Anyways, congratulations to the graduating class of 2022. Wishing you all the very best and may your dreams come true. Today, in our studio, we have Dr. Balbir Gorm from the Kwantlen University. She is here to talk about gender-based violence, so let's hear from her.
My guest today is, everybody sort of knows her, but anyways, I will introduce you officially. Her name is Dr. Balbir Gorm. She is a professor at KPU and a director of nursing program there, and she is also the founder of Never. I think it's never ending, whatever. I'll ask her what that means. And she founded that organization, and it's all the organizations that are in SETI and talk about violence prevention. So anyhow, today we're going to talk about violence prevention program. It's a brand new program that they have started at KPU. So welcome, Balbir.
Thank you, G. But first I got to tell you, I'm not a director, I'm just a professor.
Oh, you are a professor.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want people to get misinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I teach nursing at KPU. Mm-hmm. And then, as you said, Never, it's a long name, so Network to Eliminate Violence in Relationships. Yeah. And that's why we just call it Never. And it's got over 100 organizations from the community, which are members, and we work together on relationship violence, whether it's prevention, advocacy, more services, whatever the whole community wants. That's kind of what we try to put forward. Yeah, and the program you're talking about, the Violence Intervention Program, so that one we are actually doing for free right now for July, but we can discuss it, and it's a 3-hour workshop. And people just have to email never@kpu.ca, so NEVR @kpu.ca, and they can attend the free workshops online.
Oh, so this workshop is online?
Yes, we can do it in person if, say, an organization has a group and they want us to come there and do it, we can do that. But otherwise, we're doing it online just because it's easier for people. They don't have to travel and so forth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this? How long have you been a prof at KPU?
Oh my God, I've been a prof for 31 years.
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
That's a long time, but still, it's definitely needed.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then with Never, we started that about 12 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Violence Intervention Program used to be called Community Champion, and then we just revised it this year. Mm-hmm. And so the reason we needed to create it is because so many women or men, anybody, does not report. Mm-hmm. They don't report violence, and 20% don't even get help, period. Or only 20% get help, I should say. So 80% of the people don't get help. And so that's who we're trying to reach.
So do you think when you say 80% doesn't even pick up the phone and call 911, or the neighbors don't call 911, what is stopping them? Is it because they don't know the resources?
Well, they suffer in silence. Many people do not want to report because there's a misconception. Like they think they have to phone 911. They don't. They can get help. They can get help from our BC Victim Link line. I think the number is 5630808, like 1-800.
Yeah.
But they can also go to the Embrace Clinic here at Surrey. They can also go to Emerge, but they don't have to report to police. So a lot of times people don't come forward because they think if they ask for services, they're going to have to report to the police. But that's not true at all.
True, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're right, like people don't know what services exist. And a lot of people think violence is normal, right? Because if you look at the history of people, right, women only got to be a person, recognized as a person around the 1900s.
Correct, yeah, right.
And then society hasn't really caught up, right? Women are still oppressed. Women are controlled, whether socially or they're belittled, or they could have their paychecks taken, or they're told, no, you can't go, to the mandir or the gurdwara or whatever. And also, sometimes they're controlled in terms of who they can visit and not visit, right? And I've heard of even situations where their paychecks get taken. So all those are abuse.
Yep.
But people don't recognize that. And the other thing they don't recognize is small children. If they witness it, they have long-term health consequences.
Yep.
Right? They can have emotional or physical consequences, and that goes same for the people that are abused. Long term, we look at health conditions and things that you don't think of. Like the normal ones, you're going to get headaches, or you can't sleep, or you got depression. Everybody kind of sees that, but they don't recognize it's associated with cancer, with heart disease, with diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, so many of the chronic conditions. Like we could go on and name them all, but it's just chronic conditions can be contributed to violence.
I was going to say, do you think just because 1,000 people move to Surrey every month, that's just 1,000 people are moving because the rent is affordable?
Right.
And all the most of the refugees, there are so many newcomers coming in here as well. So do you think that they are not aware of the services? There are so many organizations that I know of right in Surrey. I work in Surrey. But even if I didn't work in Surrey, I know all these organizations like Options, Diversity, PIGS, Success, Mosaic, you name it.
Yeah.
So many organizations, they do have violence prevention, or STV counselors, or Surrey Women's Center. So do you think that just because they are new to the country and new to the city, that they are not aware of the resources, or is not translated in their language?
No, it's true. They may not be aware of the resources, but even people who have lived here for years are not aware of the resources. I know it's hard for us to believe because we are always out in the community, but many people do not know what resources exist. And when you talk about the refugees, right, it's an additional problem for them because they have suffered abuse. They have trauma, and they really need help. But they don't always get that kind of help. The help they get when they come is a resettlement program.
Right.
Right? And so they don't even know. In fact, I was at the Pride event and I talked to a few refugees. And they were saying that they don't know what to do. Like they were giving me their situation as in they're getting nightmares because we had our violence intervention program there. And so we were trying to promote it and get people to sign up. And I had one person I remember specifically who said, you know what, I didn't even know there was such a thing. I didn't know I have trauma. So because we were talking about the symptoms, I said, okay, so what do you experience? And then I named it trauma. And he's like, oh, I didn't even know that. So many, like I said, they normalize it. They think it's okay. It's just like, I think we've talked before on a show where we said some people think it's okay to hit their kids, right? But we know now, I mean, I didn't know this many years ago, but I know now that if you do hit your kids, it's a form of abuse, and some of them, not all of them, it's never for everybody, right? But some of them, they will not recover from it in terms of their neurobiology and how they get wired as they're growing up. I mean, we can talk about science. It starts way back when you're first being formed inside the woman, right?
True.
And that's when your nervous system starts developing. And if you're witnessing abuse, even inside,
During the pregnancy.
during the pregnancy, the way your nervous system develops is different. And so you're more prone to depression. You're more prone to the health conditions, multiple of them, including asthma, right? And we've seen asthma on the rise. So sometimes I wonder if that's why. I don't know, but it's just a good question to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another study.
Yeah.
We need to find some funds to go ahead and do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I was going to say that, it's kind of alarming. I shouldn't be alarmed, but you are very right. When the newcomers come to this country, I think we all get the funding, or so many agencies get the funding to get them settled, a settlement program, English as a second language, English as a language, ESL and housing and social services and all that. We are so focused on that. But even while women are coming, or as a family is coming, nobody is asking the question that beyond this, this is what we can do. Apply for this funding, or you can go there and all that. But how are you doing? You know, how are you doing? It's not, I'm fine. If you know, you get that answer, there is something not correct there.
You're absolutely right. And the other thing is that not only do not service providers ask, but they might ask in front of someone who's being abused by that person, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we try to advocate for is please find a private place. You know, and at our conference we just finished last week, we had service providers, and we have everybody, right? Also abusers, people who have been abused, survivors. And one of their recommendations was, well, look at the doctor's office. When you go to the doctor's, the receptionist in front of a room full of people asks you, you know, what are you here for? And they said they don't want to tell everybody what they're here for. There's no privacy. And then we heard about the same thing in emergency.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it happens in various places, whichever services you're accessing. I mean, we picked on healthcare, but it could be anywhere. And so we need to ask these questions in private. And the rates are high, so we would be surprised by the numbers we're getting. So 1 in 3 for women, and these are people who report.
Yes.
Right? And report to police. So not general report, right? So 1 in 3 women for police, 1 in 6 men for police.
Okay.
Yeah, so the rates are high. It's a good chance that there are many people visiting service providers that have been abused. But they're not accessing services, they're not knowing what abuse is. And so some of the goals of our program then is even to make other organizations aware who don't work in the anti-violence sector, because those people know. They're experts in it, right?
Yeah.
But it's the average worker in a different area or our community member who may not know what abuse looks like. They may not know how to help a friend if somebody does say, you know, if you came to me and said, you know, Balbid, I've just been, you know, hit or whatever. It could be emotional abuse, whatever, right? And then we tell people, how do you talk to that person, right? And the number one thing, of course, is always to believe them.
Of course.
Yeah, like believe them and tell them that you're here for them. You're here to support them, but don't tell them what to do, because a part of the abuse is control. And so now if you are trying to control their decision too, then you're re-victimizing them. So you're abusing them in a sense. And so those are the two big things. And then the person may not even need anything else, but maybe you have to help them with getting social assistance, maybe, you know, or figuring out where they can go. You know, maybe they can go to counseling at Diversity or at Surrey Women's Centre, right? And then you can help them access so many services. If you look at Surrey Women's Centre, because that is one of our centres in Surrey for dealing with abuse, they've got support workers, right? If somebody did want to go to court and lay charges, the support worker will be with them throughout that entire experience, right? And if they need counselors, there's counselors there. If they happen to flee violence, but they're not reporting, which is okay, it's their choice, they might need help just getting all their identification over again.
Yes.
Right? Like there's so many supports that are available. And so part of our toolkit's aim is to make people aware of all of them. And so that they can help a friend or a relative or whoever comes to them. And also if we see abuse out in the community. So what can we do but still feel safe? Right? Like we use case studies in that, and so one of the case studies is if you were out shopping and somebody is yanking their toddler by their hair and yelling at them, and it doesn't seem like they did anything, right? So you can distract them. You can go over and say, oh, do you know where the coffee aisle is? Or make up something, right? Or if you notice somebody else was with them, a friend, you can ask that person to intervene instead. Or if you don't feel safe to do any of them, because you have to feel safe. That's one of the things we teach, right? You don't want to put yourself at risk. You might stand at the end of the aisle and just watch them. Because just watching them will make them stop too. You know, so those are the kind of things we try to do in the toolkit when you're dealing with situations that you might come across, either, you know, a friend or somebody out in the community that you don't even know. Yeah, so.
So what you are trying to do is to keep your eyes and ears open all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, be aware of the surrounding, be aware of what's happening, and maybe go and speak at different events and things like that, and invite the community that are in the helping field how to diagnose is not the right word, how to recognize if somebody is being abused or somebody is being controlled.
Yes.
And so many times that I find, especially happens with the women who are newcomers to the country, the guys that go back to places, bring a new bride in here.
Oh, yes.
The husband is controlling them. No, you don't have to work. You stay home. Mother-in-law is doing the same thing. Oh, he's making enough money. You don't have to work. But it's not like you don't have to work. It doesn't matter. It's when you are outside working, you feel you are contributing. And you get empowered.
Yes.
That is my money and I can go buy my suit or buy jewelry or go back visit my family. I'm not dependent on. But there are so many times that family don't let them do that. And that is the biggest form of abuse that I have witnessed. So much control by people that have been here before.
That's right. Control by husbands and their families.
Their families,
Yeah, their families as well. And you're absolutely right in the sense that women or men, it doesn't matter which way the control is going, need to get out of the house and they need to have connections. Whether they're work connections or they're volunteer connections, but if they are supported by other people, they will also feel better. And so their self-concept is better. Their emotional health is better. So work is not just about getting money. There's other things that go with it. And like you just reminded me of studies they've done on people who retire. If they don't have a plan as to what they're going to do after they retire, a lot of them get sick because they are no longer doing what they've done for years and years and years.
True,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and
they get depression. They get, because every day they've been used to getting up 6, 7 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning, going to the gym,
Yeah.
taking shower, getting ready, eating breakfast, packing lunch and all that. And all of a sudden when you are retired, your whole world is around, what do I do now?
Exactly. And it's their self-concept that gets impacted, same as what you were talking about with the social control. So that's why it made me think of it. Theirs isn't social control in the sense that somebody's telling them. They've chosen to retire most of the time. But it's that whole self-concept of who am I? How am I contributing to this world? What's my purpose in this world? So those are the kind of things that, people need to consider as well. It's not just about, well, we don't need the money, so you don't need to work. Yeah.
So who is this toolkit for?
The toolkit is for anyone and everyone.
Okay.
And just not people who specialize in victim assistance or in relationship violence or domestic violence itself, right? Because we always say relationship violence, but it can be neglect, child abuse, elder abuse,
Financial abuse.
violence against anybody,
yeah,
right? Children, whoever. So we just use the one term, so we don't have to name all those things, stalking, cyberbullying, so many. But yeah, so it's for anyone and everyone that's listening to us. If you're old enough, you can take our training. We don't care if you're only 12 or if you are a senior. So all across the age spectrum, all genders, anyone can take it. And they just have to email us and tell us sort of which Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday in July works for them. Yeah.
So you're going to have the training 1 month?
We're going to have it for a month and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And as you know, with Never, we just work with volunteers.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of students that we access.
Yeah.
So our students are with us until the end of July.
Correct.
So that's why we're doing it all of July, and then we'll evaluate it and see how it's working, and we may re-offer it in September. But we don't know that yet, so we're only advertising July for now. Yeah.
And this training
Yes.
is people only living in Surrey?
No, around the world. We don't care.
Okay.
Anybody listening to your program who wants to take it, because it's virtual, it's online.
Okay.
And we're trying to change the world, as you know. It's a world pandemic. It's
Yes.
not just a Surrey problem. It's
Yeah.
not just a BC or a
No, no.
Canadian problem.
Yeah.
It's a global problem. It's
Yeah.
really a pandemic that no one talks about. And so that's why we are open to anyone taking it.
I'm glad you're saying that because there are so many things. They say, oh, we only see people in Surrey.
Yeah.
Or if you live in Bannaby only. Or if you live in Vancouver or Richmond.
Yes.
Because they get funding.
Yes.
And they need to provide service in their community, right?
Yeah.
So that is the reason. But if you're doing online, anybody can watch it. That's wonderful. That when you say this thing is not just our problem or one person. This violence prevention program is all over the world. As soon as we got out of the pandemic,
Yeah.
people have been locked down. And when you really look at the cost of everything, cost of housing, cost of food, cost of gas, cost of, you name it. And I think the biggest fight that I find that is between in the household is when there is not enough money or how are they going to pay the bills. That is the main root cause of issues or problems starting in the family.
Yes, and that very well can be is when people have conflict. It can be about money, but it could also be about other things, right?
Yeah.
And it's when individuals don't know how to deal with conflict in a nonviolent way. So that's why not this toolkit, but we have another one for schools where you can teach young children on healthy relationships. What does that look like? And how do you resolve conflict, right? And
Thank you, Dr. Balbir Garm. Have your pens and paper ready, as we have some events that you may be interested in participating in. Canada/USA Khalsa X Students Reunion is taking place at Bollywood Banquet Hall in Surrey on October 1st at 5 p.m. For more information, please call 604-537-5123 or email umagrant02@yahoo.ca. The ticket for this is $40 per person, and all proceeds from the function will go towards Khalsa College in Ba, Fiji Islands. Sanskriti Cultural Awareness Society of BC is in preparations of the first annual Festival of India, which will be an outdoor event held at Holland Park in Surrey. This will be a free event on July 30th at Holland Park, so spread the word and come and attend the celebration. For any more information, feel free to contact Sanjeev Sharma and give him a call at 604-767-4366. Pick Society is celebrating its 35th anniversary on September 16th at 6 p.m. at the Reflections Banquet and Conference Centre in Surrey. All proceeds will go towards the Guru Nanak Diversity Village. And for more information or tickets, you can call PIX at 604-596-7722. PIX Society is holding its 15th annual Mega Job Fair on July 28th at North Surrey Sports and Ice Complex from 10 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. The address is 10950 126 A Street in Surrey, near Scott Road SkyTrain Station. Bring your resume and hand out your resume to as many companies you plan to obtain employment from. If you have any events coming up in the community and would like us to promote it, please send it to asianpulse@gmail.com. We ran out of time for today, but I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I do bringing it to you. If you'd like to support the show by being a sponsor, please call Camilla Singh at 604-537-5123 or send an email to asianpulse@gmail.com. Before I go, I'll leave you here with these thoughts. It's amazing how people can get done if they are not. Do not worry about who gets the credit, by Sandra Schweini. If you missed our show today, you can watch it again on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. on Channel 4. Or if you're in Calgary, that's Channel 10. Thanks for spending a part of your day with us. I'm your host, Shannon Promal. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. See you all next week.